Welcome back to another episode of the For-Profit Blogging Videocast. My name is Joe Saul-Sehy from Stacking Benjamins, and my partner is Stacking Benjamins in crime. His partner in crime, a bad thing, Kathleen Selmans.
If you're going to be in crime, you need a partner, right?
Gotta have a partner, I suppose. You don't have to, but it makes the time in the jail cell a little better. Right. So we've got a fun episode of the show. Welcome back. It's been what, 3 weeks? Been 3 weeks?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, maybe 3 weeks since we've done this. So we've got our top 5 things we learned at FinCon. We were just at the Financial Money and Media Conference in Charlotte, North Carolina, which was very cool. We had a lot of fun. I didn't sleep for 4 days. I think my blood alcohol level was a little high during that 4-day period. How about yours?
No, I was really good.
Liar. Or you were really good, weren't you?
Yeah.
That's kind of annoying.
I'm a terrible partner in crime, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah, just let Joe have all the drinks. And but what's funny about that was that we said ahead of time we had way too many things that we had to do, right? We have way too many things, and so we were not going to get drunk. And what did I do on night number 1? Immediately. You weren't even. You were still at the airport. You weren't even there yet, and I was hammered. All right, let's get to that. Let's not get to that. Let's get to the good stuff, which are the top 5 things that we learned at FinCon, the Financial Money Media Conference. Our numbers interesting because I felt the same thing being up there. I actually got to be the MC at FinCon, and it's funny because Carl's talking, and I'm like, "Yep, I'm living that. I am totally the imposter up here in front of, whatever subsection of the 900 people that actually made it to those sessions looked like maybe half the people. So it really felt like, really me? How do I get to do this? But you shouldn't feel that way.
Right. I was talking to Liz Weston at one of these dinners, and she is definitely the most famous person that I was talking to, and she said she still feels like that sometimes. She said it reduces the frequency, but it never actually goes away.
Yeah, I love Carl's line on that note that every time he still submits his column to the New York Times, he's like, well, that's probably the last one.
Yeah.
Love that. Number 4 came from our friend Paula Pant. Paula, who's on the podcast from Afford Anything. Paula and Will Sisk had a great thing about how they do afford anything. Paula in front of the camera, so to speak, when it comes to that blog, and Will behind the scenes as an engineer, about how they grew their email list. But the line I liked had nothing to do, Kathleen, with email lists. It had to do just specifically with ruthless prioritization. And man, I really like that because there's so many times that we chase squirrels, and you got to prioritize and go after just one thing and do it well. And we brought that home immediately with us.
Yeah. I really liked that because she was talking about how her goal was just to grow her email list. But for us, especially because we have 4 different websites and 1 podcast, and it's very easy to run in all these different circles all the time. But if you focus on one thing at a time, you do that well. And we were doing that right before FinCon, mainly out of necessity. Like, let's get our ducks in a row for FinCon, and everything else will fall. We can do everything else after FinCon. But what we took home from that was we can't just do everything else after FinCon. We can prioritize the next thing after FinCon.
It's funny. We made a list immediately this first week that, right away I went to a different conference because that's what you do after you don't sleep for 4 days is go to another conference. So I was gone all last week too, but this week, now that we're both back in the offices, we started with a project we really can't talk about, unfortunately, but that's our one thing this week. And then next week we'll be on to the next one.
Yep.
Number 3, I wrote down no permission. Oh, Tiff, the Budgetnista.
She had a breakout session that was every bit as good as a keynote. She was so cool. She came, I'm sorry you missed this one, but you'll definitely have to watch the replay. But she wanted to do a challenge for her readers. She didn't have any readers. And she wanted to do a 31-day savings challenge. and she approached a national magazine, and they said, oh, that sounds like a good idea, but you got to do it on your own. And so she thought, okay, well, no one's giving me permission to do this, so I'm just going to do it. And she bootstrapped her way. She was looking for 10,000 subscribers. She got 35,000 subscribers. And her whole thing was give everything away for free. Her comment that really struck home with me was that she wasn't teaching people anything that they couldn't Google themselves, which is really true for all personal finance.
Right. It's not the first time you've written this thing or talked about this thing.
Well, yeah, you're not the first person to ever talk about a budget,
right?
Or that you need to spend less than you earn. But she said the reason why people followed her was because she was just giving absolutely everything away for free, and she didn't ask for permission, and she did it, and it was a huge success. She's only been around a year. She is wildly popular. People now pay her to speak and do all kinds of things across the country. And then she recently announced that a national magazine picked her up this year. So it's going to, her next January challenge is going to go nuts. It's going to be really fun to watch.
Yeah, it's crazy. She very well could have been a keynote speaker at FinCon. I bet in the next couple of years, she'll be somebody that we'll see there. Number two, I take horrible notes. I wrote never a good idea.
Was that Tess?
Oh, that is Tess. Tess Vigeland. Our friend Tess Vigeland wrote that.
It's always a good idea. Tess is a good idea.
one of the keynote speakers, Tess, said, it's never a good idea to stay in a job where you know you need to leave. Never keep doing something that you know is not, your body tells you, your brain tells you, you got to go. And it doesn't matter if you have a plan B or not. You probably got to have your financial house in order, to be able to do that. But if you're not feeling it, you got to start working toward getting out. You can't waste time in a dead end job. I thought that was great.
I thought it was great too. And her story is interesting because she wasn't in a dead end job. She was not, she had a lot of people's dream job, and her comments about when it's time to leave, really resonated with the me who was having all these internal conversations about all this in June. And the time to leave is before you start slacking in your job, basically. You leave while everyone knows you're still doing a good job. And I was worried about her talk because I thought it was just going to be like, leap and the net will follow. But it wasn't. It was very, very real.
Yeah. And it's not all going to be unicorns and rainbows when you make that jump. It's going to be, It's still going to be tough, but it's going to be more, I guess, authentic is the right word. Although I feel like lately the word authentic, I've been saying the word authentic so much the past 3 weeks. I just feel like the word authentic is no longer authentic.
It's like the word literally. I literally died.
I literally. Yeah, you probably didn't. All right. The number one thing on my list, and this was my number one, Kathleen, don't know if it was yours, was from the final keynote speaker, Grant Baldwin, who talk about, TIFF. Grant last year was a breakout speaker. This year, his career has advanced so much, and it was cool of PT to put Grant on the stage. And Grant definitely brought home the bacon. That guy was a fantastic ending keynote speaker. Just amazing. The line, and Grant had 50 things that could have gone on this show. But my favorite thing from all of FinCon is, just because you heard something was a great idea, and it's a great idea at FinCon, doesn't mean you should implement it. Once again, I think that for me, coupled with Paula's ruthless prioritization, is that it might be great. It doesn't necessarily mean it's great for you. And man, did that hit home, because I've made that mistake way too many times.
Yeah, I liked it. It was really funny how much he sort of gave people permission. I don't think anybody was looking for Grant Baldwin to give them permission to do anything, but I noticed on social media when we all got home, everyone said, well, Grant Baldwin said I should take a day off every now and again, so this is my Grant Baldwin day off. I thought that was a really cool thing, how he really connected with our audience, and that the fact that he said so strongly, like, there are significant, really awesome things that people are doing in this community that you should not implement. That, coupled with what Carl said at the very beginning, which was, there's no such thing as a process that's too simple. Those two things, it was like, well, if I don't get anything else out of this, it's let's simplify our processes and not ruthlessly prioritize, like Paula said, and take a break every once in a while.
Yeah, and it's funny because back in my old life as a financial advisor, there were many success coaches, these executive coaches out there, and the best executive coaches said exactly what Grant and Carl and Paula said, which is, and they didn't actually say to batch process, but take time off. And what that forced you actually do was to batch process. So you get everything done, because you weren't going to get everything done unless you had the system of just making it all happen. So I would take half a day off every Friday afternoon. Wasn't time spent with my family, wasn't time spent with anybody. It was just for me. And I wasn't taking it off because I deserved it. I was taking it off because of the fact that if I didn't take it off, I was going to fry. And so then I learned how to batch process, how to get a lot of stuff done, how to ruthlessly prioritize. It really, taking time off was not worse, which we all think it was. It was way better. It was way, way, way better. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I think that's true. Work expands to fill the time you give it. So you can get as much done in 5 hours as you can in 10.
That's why we're giving up all the things we do here at Stacking Benjamins that make money. We're completely not doing them anymore. We're no longer going to do it. I'm going back to play video games after this because I need a break. That probably won't be happening, but we will take that seriously. All right. That's it. You got anything else?
Nope, that's it. That's what we learned from FinCon. It's a good thing to go that we went.
Yeah, amen, sister. So great stuff at forprofitblogging.com. Make sure that you check it out. We have a site slightly redesigned, really cool, almost a little Pinteresty, don't you think? Where you can just go and click the different boxes of the areas that you need help on with your blog, with your podcast, whatever it might be. We need help with this video because this was
it's out of control.
It's going to be a lot of editing on this, sister. People that see the edited version of this are going to have no idea what we're talking about. Maybe someday we'll have the extended cut or whatever.
Yeah, maybe.
See everybody later. Here comes
Thanks,
the end.
everyone.